All right, you're unmuted.
Below me.
Yeah.
Schools. Come to order. That's it. We're here today.
Make sure you're speaking into the mics. Just there is quite a few people who are watching on the YouTube.
Sure. You have to excuse my voice. Sinuses are really stuck.
That time of year.
I sound like a baritone, and you know why.
You and me both.
Ready for roll call?
Yep, roll call,
Okay,
please.
Katie,
Oh, Mandy's here.
I am here and I'm here. Randy,
Here.
Kelly, here, Matthew,
Here.
and Jason,
I'm here.
all here.
The agenda revisions and approval. Is up.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
That was
All-
Matt. Or
Yeah.
Jason, Matt, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Good.
Consideration of approving the minutes of the August 5th, 2025 committee meeting.
Do you have a copy of those?
They're right here. I'm gonna take them.
Do I have a motion?
I don't know if everybody's read them yet.
I have read, so moved.
Jason. Is there any more? Thank you.
I'll support.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, the discussion regarding general operating millage and other funding sources.
back to the discussion.
So after last meeting, as you recall, there was kind of a consensus of what direction to go in. And the idea was to invite the sheriff here to kind of give his feedback as to where this committee was leading. This committee was leading towards a law enforcement type, public safety type millage. But we wanted to hear from the sheriff's office on his thoughts on that. And so Sheriff Rosa is here. So I'll invite him up if you just want to sit at the horseshoe, unless you want to, Sheriff. And we can talk about the thoughts of the committee. So up to you. You want to stand or sit?
I guess I'd like to see everybody's faces, smiling faces. So I'll stand here. Good evening,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sure.
Sheriff Rosa. Thank you for inviting me. So I do have some input on the direction of millages, if you will, or a millage. I've seen a lot of them come and go over the years. I've seen some fail, and I've seen many of them go well for us. I guess when I think about putting everything in one basket, all of my building, if you will, you visualize that, which is kind of big. Asking for one millage for all of our interests. I have a great reservation about that. And it's mainly because the thought of putting all of our eggs in one basket, meaning if it passes, great. But if it doesn't, now what? How big of an impact is it going to be if it fails? And I don't see that. Personally, I don't know that the risk of having it fail outweighs the reward of it passing. I look historically at our office. We've attempted to pass a millage that would pay for law enforcement and put the jail back in general operating funds, and that failed. I mean, that was really kind of in my mind, it was kind of a tit for tat or a swap.
What was that millage, if you don't mind?
I tried to research that a little bit.
I don't remember that.
2013 was the was the year I came up with.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things. It was a risk that we took, and we felt that, I guess, collectively, not we, I didn't really have a lot of decision in that, but we were trying to figure out, what was appropriate to come out of the general operating funds versus the asking for millages and different allocations. Anyway, that didn't work out. Recently I've looked at, and I'm familiar with several sheriffs that are affected negatively by the failure of public safety millages, to the point where they've lost their road patrol. And that's a big hit. That's a huge hit if that happens. If this thing were to fail, if we were to put all of our eggs in one basket and this were to fail, I feel that we've been building our team up, at least in my mind, it's been probably close to 10 years in the making, but it's really stepped up. We've really increased our talent and our people in key positions since I've been the sheriff. And I'm not taking necessarily credit for that. I'm just saying that's where we've come as an agency. And to have that rug pulled out from under us because of a failed millage, we wouldn't be able to sustain, we wouldn't be able to rebuild from that. That's my input on that. We're not police officers and professionals that are in our field are hard to find, especially good ones. And so if tomorrow we close our doors, all of these people are displaced, they're never coming back. So even if we fail a millage in August and we ask again in November, it's too late. Too late to rebuild our team, in my mind. The other thing that I came up with, please don't take offense to this, but historically, the public doesn't trust the government. And there's many reasons why. But when you talk about asking for a millage for the entire sheriff's office, you're basically telling the people, we are extra. We're not a basic service. We are something that you have to pay for extra, because your general tax dollars are not going towards that. And I think the people, the citizens that are that live in our community expect differently. I think they expect that their general tax dollars are taking care of their basic needs when it comes to public safety, such as 911. If they call 911, they expect someone from Director Ellis's office to answer that phone. Okay? They don't expect to get a tree or an operating, somebody in Timbuktu answering the phone. They expect someone locally to answer that phone in person. Whatever need it is that they have for calling 911, I believe they expect a response from the sheriff's office, whether it's a deputy, search and rescue, something happened on the lake, whatever that might be. I believe that people feel that those are basic needs that should be being met by general fund monies, like much of them are now, such as our law enforcement, road patrol. I think that there's a misconception when it comes to what people, the average general public thinks about what am I getting for my tax dollars? Okay. If that makes any sense to you.
It does. So if we're here today to decide if we're going to do a separate millage
Yep.
or increase our general operating millage.
Yep.
So you think the people out there would be more apt to take an increase in our general operating millage.
I'm not saying that. I don't know that that would be sold either.
Right, I'm just
What I'm saying is,
putting out there
when we
that
put
there's
all
those
of,
two
when we
options.
put our eggs in one basket, you know, we've never done this before. We've always had these special millages, even if it's EMS or, you know, all across the board in the county as a whole. I'm speaking, of course, for the sheriff's office, but so we've always had to, because there wasn't funding available in the general fund for all of these extra things, we've always gone to the public and asked for them. But I think we've never asked for anything that wasn't necessary or that we didn't feel was important or that the community would get some, feedback or would get something out of. Okay. Such as a good example is our school resource officers. We go out for a special millage for that. And we've had an overwhelmingly huge, it's been very well received in our schools and in our community. Those are extra things. We had many years ago, we had several, we started our opioid epidemic and we were having overdoses all the time. So what did we do? We, instead of using general fund money to try and keep a TNT officer available, we went for a special millage. We showed the people that there was a need throughout the death and destruction that we were seeing, and they overwhelmingly approved it. And it's still going to this day. Those are extras. Those are great. Those are things that, we can do as a community, we can do as a sheriff's office. That's not all inclusive. Any questions so far?
Well, Sheriff, the sheriff's department used to be in the general fund
Mhm.
of the county years ago.
It's a
They
mandate.
still are.
Still
We
is.
still are.
It's a mandated service.
No, it's
Right.
not. Road patrol.
So-
Road patrol's not.
Road patrol's
It's a
not,
jail.
but it's still in the fund.
Right.
And if this millage doesn't, if we go out to try to do this next year and this millage doesn't pass, the sheriff's office is still in the general fund.
Correct.
We're not pulling
Well-
you from the general fund until we know we can make something work.
Sure.
Just so you know
I
that
think,
as well.
I think the sheriff's comments are extremely valid.
Yes, they are valid.
And I agree. I think you're right on target. But your comment is also valid that one way or the other, we're gonna have to come up with, X, Y, Z to cover what we need to but losing those services is a potential outcome of one of those options.
That was one of the reasons we tried to, make the jail paid for by the general fund because it quote unquote is a mandated service, constitutionally.
Right.
So we, that was part of the reason behind, let's go for a millage for law enforcement then, so that the people get to decide if they want 24-hour road patrol or whatever the case may be, in that respect. And I guess they weren't ready for it.
Right.
But,
We got
So I wonder a couple of things because the thing that concerns me, I agree. I appreciate what you're saying, Sheriff. And the last thing I'm sure I want or any of us want is an interruption in like service like this. You're right. I actually made that example the same one you did at our last meeting of when I pick up the phone and dial 911. I want an answer and I want a response quickly,
Yeah.
right? If I have a heart attack, I don't want a 20-minute wait because your survival goes down pretty quickly, right? So that said, though, one of my concerns is it seems like that the sheriff's department is potentially in jeopardy in both scenarios.
Could be.
Regardless of whether a millage fails, whether it's a sheriff's department millage or a public safety millage, or whether we're losing money in general fund, it's a problem both ways. Would you agree?
yes.
And one of my arguments would be towards this, which is why I think we're gained in this, is I actually think when it comes to those services, public is more, especially with the feedback that we've gotten from the public that's shown an interest in this process, is that they're more likely to support those things that they value and that they are choosing than those things that are going into a general fund. So my wonder would be actually like when it comes to continuity of service for the county, seeing a steady general fund and an increase in public safety has a much greater likelihood of success than a steady what we have right now in terms of other millages and trying to increase the general fund. Because it seems like based on all the data I've seen, one of the two has to happen. Because right now there's deficits in areas like our 911 in our general fund. And again, I wonder about your thoughts on that, like one way or the other, which way is the public more likely to
Well,
go?
Education.
We've been doing things over the last few years, such as staggering millages and being creative that way and trying not to just be asking the public for every year a whole bunch of things. Because we know that there's going to come a point where they're going to say enough's enough, and if you're not on the checkbox of folks, then you're just out, so I don't know what the balance is really.
Right.
Well, none of
I-
us can predict that.
Right,
It's
right.
like our own perspective.
right.
It is a bit
I mean,
rhetorical. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
trying to put you on the spot and say like, we've
Public
got to
safety,
have the
yeah.
answer. We're
Yeah.
struggling.
I mean,
with
we've
it
all
too.
sat here and.
Public safety
Well,
has
Yeah.
been support. You're 100% right. In most situations,
Right.
except for when we lost the jail millage
Well,
recently.
I
So,
will say though, I would differentiate between the jail
I know,
and like like
but if we're lumped.
it's easier for
together-
someone to say no to that than no to road patrol. Like if they, and I realize those aren't the choices, but I mean, if you were looking at,
Or fire and EMS.
right,
always
like
have.
people will see a greater
Pretty big,
connection to
yeah.
things that have a greater, like, people will hopefully say, I'm not going to jail.
And again, it comes
Right.
down to
But,
education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Educating the public about what it is they're voting on.
Mhm.
Either way, that's the ticket is getting everybody to realize what it is that's happening.
But for what it's worth, Sheriff, I mean, I do want to say I appreciate your concern and I share that. Like having a catastrophic, like instant loss would be problematic.
Even though we may not totally be off the map, so to speak, we may not be totally out of business, but are we going to be at the same level of service we are now?
If
I mean, like I said, this is, Katie will tell you, we've been creative. We've got more, we've got 3 bailiffs now in a place where we had 1, but yet that allowed us to move folks around and create a 24-hour part of the reason we have 24-hour road patrol today. We've all been instrumental in helping for the good of the order, and I just don't want to lose it. And bottom line.
So I've also invited a few other people to the meeting as well tonight to give some other perspectives about other ways we've talked about doing this. So there is some paramedics here as well who can talk from their perspective because they are millage based. And they're in the situation that if a millage fails, they're all laid off because they're not in the general fund. Sean Johnson is here. He's been an advocate for Parks and Recreation. We talked about Parks and Recreation and how Benzie County has all of these parks and they have all these, tourism type opportunities. And we're
funding.
not supporting those in any way. So he's here, and Corey's here again too to continue to talk about central dispatch and other public safety avenues. So we've invited a few different folks here tonight so we can talk about more perspective and hear different perspective and talk about different options for going forward. Outside of just maybe a law enforcement type millage.
Appreciate everybody being here too.
For sure.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that, I think we all said it, but I know I was saying it quite a few times last month that if Kyle wasn't in support of this, who are we to proceed with this idea? And
Right.
that's why it was really important for me to get him here and get his perspective on that. And we talked about staying in our lane and what do we assume? We have to make a recommendation no matter what. So if we table that for now and that thought, and we focus just on the operating millage, that's an avenue to go too.
We just focus on the operating millage. What would the
It's the
new,
least we have to do too.
Right.
Is give a recommendation on that.
Right.
what would be the increased millage amount? I mean, 2 mils, half a mil?
That's
we-
this
Well, we were
committee's
looking at a
job.
1 point.
That's this committee's
It's a loaded
decision.
question.
We were looking at a 1.2 to
Right.
add, to make this public safety millage work, so I would say we'd need a 1.2 to the
Well, that would be
operating.
for the
But that's
public
if we-
safety, but does that address the general operation fund?
Well, but public safety, I mean, if you're
If we
leaving
pull the
within
sheriff
the general
out,
fund,
Right.
That would be
That's
fine.
1.2,
But
and that would give us what we need in the general fund to help Parks and Rec,
Actually,
to help 911, and maybe do even other things.
And we have to sell it to
I'm
the
thinking at
public
least
with
a
those
one.
thoughts.
At
Is
least
that
one
there
mil.
will be increased services if this is what we
Correct.
do.
Mhm.
And we also, if we recommend that, in my opinion, because I do this too, we better have a backup plan. If
Right.
that fails, we need to
Exactly.
have,
You
we need to have a backup ballot
Why are we
proposal
doing
for
this?
November.
Exactly.
Mhm.
We're
Before
doing
we
this because of
table
this.
though, because I do want to can I ask another question while we've got you up here at the microphone, Sheriff? Just from the
That's the way, I'll
perspective,
try
like,
my best.
taking away from like the monetary aspect and the operational aspect. One of the other things that we've talked about as a byproduct of this is just straight up management of dollars. And the idea that right now you've got some dollars are entirely within your discretion and some dollars are entirely within the Board of Commissioners' discretion, and they pass those dollars on to you. But is there value from your perspective, irrespective, like kind of set the other issue aside for a moment, if
Okay.
you would, just from the perspective of having all of those jail dollars, road patrol dollars, all those things in your purview so that you then would have the ability to move dollars and be a little bit more nimble with your budget? Is that a good thing, a bad thing, or a neutral thing for you as an administrator of the
For
sheriff's?
me as an administrator, I would say it's a good thing to have all that, but I also understand how I get to that, and that is
Putting
one
all
big-
the eggs in a
one
basket.
big beautiful,
no,
Yeah.
for sure. Like I said, that's why I understand.
Village.
I'm not trying to like go,
you know,
I'm wondering if that is a good, like I said, good, bad, or neutral. That's all. So,
Yeah.
if I couldn't, if I didn't have, excuse me, if it didn't have to, a risk involved of how I got to that point,
right.
absolutely, I would
Be
say
happy.
yes to that.
Mhm.
And you're right, even if we
Yeah.
did, even if we did something like that.
Selfishly, I would have to say
and
yes
left
to that.
time,
Oh, that's
It's
helpful.
an
It's just
administrative dream. Are
information.
you kidding?
Yeah, yeah,
No, thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it, Kyle.
yes.
Thank you.
I'm completely honest with you guys, you know.
I think his comment about, doing, say we were to do something like that early and fail, giving time, leaving time for it to happen again, you've already lost. Right? I mean, like that's,
Well, and just the morale of losing the,
Well,
I
at that
didn't-
point,
losing that many
makes
votes
sense.
is
you've got
not
deputies
good.
looking for other jobs at that point,
Yep.
and losing people. I get that. That's, even if you
Tough.
continue to operate and build in that, it's still problematic for staffing and long-term continuity program.
Yep, well, I mean, we had it with the jail.
right.
Yeah,
I mean, those
I'm sure
corrections
people-
officers were very worried.
And if they have an opportunity to go and exercise another option and find something else, which there are lots of jobs out there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's easy for them to make that jump. And how do you rebuild that?
Yes, there are, when I spoke earlier about failed millages downstate or wherever that may be, there's prime example, the road patrol got cut in Eaton County. Some of them are working right here.
Recently,
Yes. They're already employed in Grand Traverse and our surrounding areas.
Right.
Because they can't wait around,
failed,
and the jobs are,
Abundant.
the job openings are
Relative,
available.
yep.
So,
Right,
really.
right. We
Yeah,
have
cut their rope.
staffing shortages in law enforcement are real
yes, exactly.
at
Yep.
all levels, for
Yep.
sure.
Oh, we got a lot to think about.
If you guys are willing, I'd invite
Yeah, please.
Sean up to talk about from a Parks and Recreations
Thank you,
perspective.
Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Good Johns.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No.
Souvenirs. Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
Souvenirs.
Of progress.
Good afternoon, and thanks for inviting me here. Again, I'm Sean Johnson. I sit on the Parks and Rec Commission as the vice president, but I also sit as the Railroad Point Committee chair. And that said, if you think about Lindsay County, there's 2 county parks. Most people don't know about one of them. It's Zeta Price. It's over on North Shore. It is neglected, meaning that it has been mowed in 2 years and the sign's hidden behind some bushes, but it does say it's there. And there are stairs that goes up to the Eagles area. And again, the park is there. That's number 1 park. Number 2 park is the one I'd like to talk to you about today. Over the last couple decades, Railroad Point has been getting pieces acquired. Via the help of the Grand Traverse Land Conservancy, we've gotten about 7 chunks of land out there now, about 250 acres. And again, if you know Crystal, it's at Railroad Point. All of that is great. We've been adding on to that as time has gone by. As you look at what's right in front of you, about 1998, I want to say, the state of Michigan wanted to put a new boat launch in. They wanted to put it in at the outlet. They bought the land. Then they said, no, that's not such a good idea. They bought more land down the way and they put in the boat launch where you know it's at. They turned to us and said, hey, this is for lease. And so Parks and Rec, we leased this land and added it to the Railroad Point. It's not actually legally part of Railroad Point, but it is contiguous to Railroad Point. So everything out there right now is connected. This is about 29 acres. As soon as we knew that all this was in the clear and we could move ahead with it, we also looked at developing it. Anybody who's been at Benzie County very long knows the outlet, even though it's not always been public. Yes, private people have owned it in the past. It's always been publicly used. Archibald Jones drained it in 1873, and people have been hanging out there ever since. What I notice as a local, and again, a vested local, because I drive by there all the time looking, is that it's a family hangout. This is not teens hanging out. This is not a certain group hanging out. Yes, there are a lot of bike people there. That's great because the trail comes right through there. But when I go to the beach, I see mom and dad and grandma and grandpa with kids. Take a look at what we've got in front of you. What we did was said, hey, let's apply for a DNR trust grant. It's $300,000. We got it. Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy matched the grant. So we basically had about $500,000 to work with. We came up with a concept map. What you're looking at is the end result. This is Spicer coming up with, after numerous concepts and numerous designs, them saying, hey, I think we've got what we want to do here. Great news is this is probably what's going to hit the ground come spring of next year. The bad news is this is going to start in the spring of next year, because that means somewhere in July or August, the porta-john, the toilet that's there, and it's a vault toilet, is going to run out of toilet paper. And when it runs out of toilet paper, that means the vault's going to be full. And when the big storm decides to blow a bunch of sand on the dock, now it needs to be maintained. Our grant built this. Our grant does not maintain this. Railroad Point does have a $5,000 trust fund established with Railroad Point. We know when this happens next year, again, I recognize what's going on with millage and business.
Annually, correct?
But next year, we've got a contingency plan. This opens up in July. I know I've got $5,000 in the Railroad Point Trust Fund that will handle getting my toilets pumped, but I know it can't do that year after year. What I'm here today to say is the Parks and Rec, we need to be included when you start thinking about budgets and about millage. You can't ignore the fact that Benzie residents are going to use this, and they're going to use it prolifically. The really cool part for me is when you look at this park, it is smack dab in the middle of what's going to become a mecca for Benzie County. One end, we've got TARP, which is the Thompson Area Restoration Program. Chuck Kraus is over there getting people fired up. They've got bike trails coming in from Cadillac, Manistee, and they're going to crisscross in Thompsonville. The other end of the county, the Land Conservancy has just come through with a huge deal, and Alberta has been the beneficiary. I don't know how many of you have been to Alberta in the last week or two since they've opened up that was a DNR grant fund too. You go there right now and I can guarantee you there's 40 cars down there.
Yeah.
If you build it, they will come. I guarantee that. The cool news is it's happening on one end of the county to the other. This is a recreational mecca. What we are is an industry, and tourists are that's what our product. How many tourists we have, that depends on how much we spend on them. Is it hard to say to you, do not spend money on him? Absolutely, I can't do that. I want my roads safe. But I do know that if you want people to come to this area, you have to build and maintain the kind of things that are going to attract them here.
100%.
No offense, the sheriff is not the reason people come here. The reason they come here is this. And the reason that
We do love you, Kyle.
No, you're right.
These people are not going to give you the millage you need, because they'll drop money that will go into the state gasoline fund. They'll drop money that goes in the sales tax, and a lot of it won't come here. But it will, because you and I both know that everybody that sold them something is going to make $1 on it.
Yeah.
That Benzie County will benefit from this. The real trick is I listen to talking about things, it's like, I don't know what to advise you to do, to say, hey, does a feel-good project get its own merit when you ask for a special millage? Or does a feel-good project make a bigger project more acceptable when somebody says, well, I don't like the sheriff getting all that money, but I do want to do this, so I'm going to vote for this?
Good question.
It's
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I do know to recommend to you that we keep in mind the Parks and Rec and the millage, however we have to do it moving forward, that we haven't been doing that in the past. Benzie County's MO in the past has been volunteerism. Volunteerism is great until something bad happens. And then all your volunteers are gone, and now you're stuck with what we need is an institution moving forward that says there's always going to be toilet paper in the John, and we're not going to look at something nasty inside the toilet vault. That means that somewhere along the line, we have the money to come up with that. And for me, it's millage. It's some kind of operating fund. It would be great to see enough millage where we had a director, someone who worked not only on this, but worked on getting us grants so that in the future, we're more self-supporting. For me, once you get into grant world, you really can start to sustain yourself. But right now, our parks are fledgling. The last piece I would add with this, I have talked with Jason directly about this. I know the townships want to play. I know every township in this county has got parks. And every township in this county would love to have some kind of interactive county map that would say, hey, when you click on the softball court in Elmira, it'll say it's available on June 22nd. And yes, you can have your family reunion there. That's something I know the Parks and Rec can help with. We have a plan for getting an overlay on the county map that has all the recreation sites. So when we approach the townships, I think we can get buy-in and say, hey, what can we offer you? A lot, if you'll give us a chance. Bottom line is, if we get some kind of millage that supports this whole initiative, I really do believe the Kevin Costner message that they're going to come. I got to take this back. They're going to come whether we like it or not. Talk about Ironman in 2 days and I'll show you what's going to come, because that's going to come daily on that new trail when everything starts packing in here. And it's going to be a bonanza. And Kyle's going to be really happy, and you won't even have to, this will all be good because everybody will be happy on the bike trail. Thank you for your time. And again, please, again, I really do understand what Headley and the rolling back all that stuff back in the old days, that has messed with counties in a way that I don't know how you get out of it. I really don't. You have my sympathies, but you also have my plea. Please don't give up on the recreation in Benzie. It is, I think, a savior for us. Like I say, I think it can lead us out of some issues and into some really positive ones. If nothing else, just because of the positive messaging you can get with that. We're trying to get millage. Give them something they want. I guarantee you they want this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's a really good point. And beyond the vault toilet, there's maintenance,
Microphone.
continued maintenance that's going to be done. No, I mean, yearly. So the county commissioners are going to have a lot on their hands if there's nothing in place. That's a perspective that I haven't really thought about during this whole thing. It's something outside of the box like that.
I think you're forgetting too, Point Betsy is another
Yeah.
huge thing that needs a lot of, maintenance and time and all those things. I don't know if you want me to invite up the paramedics too, to give their perspective
Absolutely.
as county employees, as Millage County employees, and, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Please.
Grew up in Traverse City. Chris Parrish, thank you for what you're doing. You have a hard job here. I have a hard job someday also, but this is a hard job for you, because you're in between either two rocks or two hard places. And my comments are predicated on that reality that there are two solutions in front of us. One is we must increase revenue or reduce services. And those services, that reduction would be something that people of Benzie County have grown to expect, and they're not going to be excited to lose. However, no one, including myself, is delighted about paying more property taxes. But that's a reality that at some point we're going to have to help people understand. In this scenario, we have two choices on the table. So my thoughts, and I don't know what the answer is, particularly with Kyle's comments. I have great respect for Kyle Rosa and his department. I think they've done a great job. We work with them every day. They are our partners. They are important. I want them to continue in the direction they're going, to solidify their future, and to continue to do well and keep those employees. So that's my thought. But it is predicated on the fact that if we do not increase tax revenue through the general fund or a significant separate millage for a service that may or may not be ideal to be in one, to increase that total revenue, we will have to reduce services. And one of those services that very likely might need to be reduced, I'll just say it, would be road deputies. And I absolutely do not want that to happen. I rely on those very road deputies. So my thoughts are preservationally to make sure we keep that. So in the event that you or we, and I do think it has to be we, considers or promotes the idea of a law enforcement millage, you are describing a law enforcement millage. You can keep calling it public safety, but to be absolutely honest with you, I'm not sure that's genuine. Public safety is just as much fire, EMS. It is definitely dispatch and sheriff's department, but I don't know. We're going to have to be very careful with the wording. I personally don't love the fact that we have a jail millage that not really is for the jail. I mean, I know it technically goes for the mail. We get that because we have to have the jail. We're having the jail. It's not a choice. We're going to have, regardless of how we vote on that, we will have a jail. It'll look much similar to what we have now. That's just the reality. We don't have a choice. It's mandated and we need it. So we will have a jail, even though I'm not crazy about paying for it. But unfortunately, road patrol, we don't have to have, and it's expensive. And I fear that if we don't accomplish the mission with one of these two possibilities, that Kyle will lose what he's trying to keep. And I think we've got to plan for that contingency. So if we do move forward with the sheriff's department and a possible millage, there are some really great benefits. We live under one. I know about that, but I think it's really important to recognize that Kyle and his department and the commissioners will all have to pull hard together to educate the people with that. That's a commitment we need to get for them. And we need to have a very clear path of what if this happens. If that millage does not pass, if you went that route, I would like to believe that we will find a way before publicly say, we will still fund our road patrol. We will still carry this. We'll just look for a different way to do it. We need to get those employees in front of the commissioners. We need to have some meetings. Those employees need to know what we're trying to do is restructure in a better way for your future. We are not trying to, roll the dice and see if people of Benzie County want cops. I think and again, these things are all hard. All this is hard though, because you need to get more money in and no one wants to pay it. I watch the commissioners every meeting. There are really good programs that are brought to them. I can't use my inappropriate analogies, but they bring reasons to need money, reasons to need services, reasons to need support that are excellent, but they only have so much money, so they got to take it from somewhere. That's where they're going to take it from, because it's general fund money. Can't take it from Benzie EMS. I mean, not really. We have an EMS millage, and there's some real benefits to that. A little bit of money can be diverted to county necessity, but for the most part, we spend for EMS, the EMS millage pays for EMS. That in our billing recovery, that pays for all of it. We don't get any more money from the county. We give some money to the county, not a lot, but some for administrative and other reasonable costs. But that money is used for EMS, every penny of it. It cannot be diverted. That is the administration, the relationship between the administration, the sheriff, and the commission way better. They don't really know that, but I know that because I know it's our money. There's some debate about how we spend it, but we don't have to debate about where it goes. So there would be a huge advantage. And I think Kyle sees that too. It's just the fear of the worst possible scenario. If we bring this forward, we've got to mitigate that worst possible scenario. And we've got to make sure that those assets they've worked so hard to build stay and we keep that level of service. I don't believe the people of Benzie County want to have less sheriff's department when we're done with this. I think the best way to do that might be a millage, even though it's scary. I might be wrong. It might not be, but it may well be. If we could encompass those all into one item, that would be the budget. Kyle would need to live with inside that budget, but it would be his budget and he could organize that in the way that best suited the needs as he saw it. I think there's a lot of real advantage to that. It is a little scary. I think I talked about the name of it. I know you want to call it public safety. Be very careful. That's a great name. I just
We
don't.
had that, we had the discussion at our last meeting that it should probably be more focused on law enforcement.
Yeah, I recognize that maybe the law enforcement title is not, you know, if I got to vote on like somebody to tell me what to do and stuff, like I'd probably not vote for that, right? So I do know that there is some nuance to that, but public safety has a pretty clear definition of those that are in the field, and I don't think this honestly makes that.
Maybe it can be something that's a little bit of both or something.
Or a longer title, public safety
Slash.
encompassing, yes, just so we're clear and honest, because I think when we put the jail on there, but before I did this, I didn't really want to vote for the jail because I'm like, well, they can eat bologna sandwiches and go to Texas. Why do I want a jail? Well, it doesn't really work that way. We're gonna have one. We don't have a
You know,
choice.
you said earlier, and you hit the nail on the head. It comes down to education. How well we educate the public on what it is we're trying to accomplish. I mean, that's what it comes down
What
to.
the need really is.
Well,
There is a need. It's not just
Explaining the
asking for more
need
money.
as well as what happens if something like this were to fail. Across the board, we have to explain and educate to the max.
And I think the commissioners have to sign in for that. too.
100%.
They have to, because what we're saying, and I'm willing to do that. I talked to Kyle. I said, if you guys go this route, I will take my personal time and I will go with you to township meetings. And because that's one of the ways that you reach the people. We need to let them know what we're asking for and why. I hate to use the sheriff as the reason we need to raise your taxes, because that's not really fair. But the truth is, we do need to raise some more revenue. The way that Headley Amendment has reduced our spending availability of those funds, that's just a reality. And I hope people understand that our actual usable dollars have actually kind of gone down. Maybe not the dollar amount, but the way they can be used based on inflation, et cetera. And it creates a disparity. And we have to figure out a way to cover that. And you can either, you know, it's always cut the fat. Well, you know what? You can have less meat or you can pay more. These are the choices. I don't think the people want to let go of this meat in this scenario. And unless you have any questions for me.
No, we appreciate it.
No.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I think it just solidifies my on the fence.
Also a resident, also a Benzie County.
I'm so on the fence with this whole thing. I continue to be so on the fence with the whole thing. I really am.
Sorry, I got whatever bugs going around.
Think we all have it.
Yeah, it's a great time. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't know a ton about what's going on. I've only gotten bits and pieces from everyone else, and I've talked with Kyle a little bit. I've talked with Katie a little bit. I've talked with Chris a little bit. So like, I'm not 100% caught up with everything going on, but from my basic understanding is we have two options. We can either have the deputies, as in the sheriff and dispatch, from what it's sounding like, go for their own millage, or we can try to increase the general fund. And I might be mistaken, but if that's the case, if we increase the general fund, that doesn't guarantee money towards a sheriff or dispatch by any means. Just putting it in a general fund means it's there, and if heaven forbid, we have a incident where the county needs more money, we end up cutting it anyways. Where if we have dedicated money for them, the money is essentially theirs and they can't lose that money. It's their money to do what they would like. I moved up here about 6 years ago. I've lived in Benzie County the whole time. I've voted in this county 3 times now. And if we're gonna call road patrol a basic necessity, which I believe it is, I think that's what you need to tell people when you go for a millage. If we are worried about not having it pass, then you need to talk to people about it being a basic necessity. You want people when they call 911 for having an emergency to have 911 there. We're on our own millage. You'll get us no matter what. But if we're showing up to something where it's not safe, we're waiting for whoever if they have to cut their staffing. We're waiting for state police to come out of Traverse City. We're waiting for someone to come out of Leelanau County, Grand Traverse County. And to your point, if you call and we're waiting 20 minutes because we're waiting for someone to show up, you could be dead by the time we get there. So I understand it is a rock and a hard place, but at the same time, if you're saying we can increase general funding or go for a millage that's their own, I feel like their own would be a good point to go off from. And that also would then again, free up money in the general fund for Parks and Recreation, for dispatch, for whoever needs those additional funds if it comes to that. And that's just my thoughts. So anyone has any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one or the other. And
So
that's the big, the $1 million question is, what's the best
I
route?
think it was 1.8 billion the other night.
Excuse me?
what?
It's the 1.8 billion
Yeah,
dollar question.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I just, I make my thinking just visible here for a minute.
Please.
So I'm thinking, I'm kind of fixating on something you said earlier, Mandy, and I agree. You know, we talked about how important it was to
People have a
have,
tendency to do that.
to have, and I've known Sheriff since I moved up here. He was one of the first people to greet me here. I respect him very much so. But and you said we got to have that support. And I know he's nervous, and I completely understand why. Now I'm going to say why I think I'm leaning the other direction. It's really because of 3 reasons. One, is one of the things that we know data-wise is that people who've spoken to us as a group, and something that we've continued to hear feedback on, is that people in our county value knowing where their dollars are going.
This is true.
And, you know, that's part of where, like, as much as I will say, I personally struggle with that, right? And you guys, I've said that before to this group.
As do I.
Right? That we have all these micro millages. That's something that people like, knowing I'm voting for this thing as opposed to I'm voting for you to have a general fund. Like, that is something we've heard crystal clear. The other thing I believe, I don't know this, but I believe it based on an awful lot of observational evidence, is there are things that people are more likely to vote for in general. And one of the things that people are more likely to vote for in our world, my world, in education, is safety and infrastructure. Like they vote for safe and dry quicker than they vote for turf on a football field or something like, right? They tend to vote for roofs and HVAC and things that keep them safe and dry before they'll. And so safety is one of those things. The other thing, though, that I know is that our tax burden, no, I don't want to minimize people's struggle with tax. I don't love paying taxes any more than I don't know anyone who loves paying taxes. Like,
I have one person.
one?
Yep.
But you
wanna
know
hate
why
that.
you're paying taxes is that.
Just one.
But the issue, I had sent an article to you guys, and that showed there was a tax study that was done by MLive, and there was a heat map of the whole entire state. It showed township by township tax burden. And I know it won't feel like this to folks, but when you look around the state of Michigan, we're one of the lowest tax burdens overall in the state. And I'm sure people would argue, but the data doesn't lie. Like, the data is what the data is. And so we know we have a revenue problem. We know what people have the highest propensity to vote for in general. And we know that our county values voting for something specific as opposed to something general. That leads me back to our original space of a public safety millage has far great, I don't want to put something up
Can't call
to
it
have
that,
it fail.
though.
Whatever we call it. But I mean, like the concept of what we
Yeah,
did
I got you.
is I see it as I want to support something that has a chance for success because we know that this is needed. I don't want to throw something at the wall that has less of a chance of success if we have something that has a better chance.
Yeah.
Because all that's going to do is I already think the chance for success is going to be tough regardless.
Mhm.
So I want to put the best possible chance out there.
We're also in a tight spot, I think, on this committee because of our role. It is our role merely to recommend
Yeah.
to the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah.
However, we're doing the work, the homework, you know, the thinking, the struggle, and then we're passing it on to somebody else. And it is their job to do the homework or to do the education.
Right.
To the public. However, we're just kind of throwing it at them. So there's nuances there too of
For sure.
what I feel like that could be in a book written to them. Like, this is what we decided. These are the 2 things or the 1 thing or the 3 things that we propose be put on the ballot and when, and here's the educational material. Like, I just feel like I don't want to leave the commissioners in a spot where they just have something thrown at. We have to provide them some backing to that.
I agree with I agree with you, Matt, 100%. And I was 100. I mean, until listening to Sheriff Rosa earlier, I was 100% on this idea. But he's got valid concerns.
Mhm. He absolutely does.
And that's what's tough about this whole thing. And the weighing is what we got to do. And so,
Yeah, if we had a better option, like I 100% agree. I absolutely, even if, and I know like if we were to go down this path, I would, again, we're a recommending body, so I don't get to make this decision, but I would really recommend strongly that there is clear contingencies on exactly how, if it fails, we're not going to lose, funding in the most important areas, which of course our law enforcement is probably the single most important function of our county government is keeping people safe. But, but I also understand that even with that, you're going to lose people. Like that's
Well,
not
and we
cool.
definitely can't promise that.
Nope.
And even the Board of Commissioners or the county administrator can't promise that because if a budget cut has to happen,
Yep. You still have to do
none of
all your
us
management services
predict
for-
that.
another, interesting point that hasn't been really talked about is that I don't know all of everything about it, but if the county were to reset, that would allow for the townships too as well, correct?
Yeah, so whatever the county decides from a general operating standpoint, it's the same language in essence for all of the townships.
So,
So if we go forward with renewing the general operating, because we're not going to increase it, and then going after some other special millage for whatever, you also as townships are renewing your general operating at that rate. So in our instance, we went out in 2024. That was the value that we went after when we removed the indefinite status. A renewal would mean a renewal at the 2024 rate for the county as well as all the townships. All your rates were different in 24, so I
Right.
don't have the exact numbers, but it would be at your 2024 rate.
if you were to increase,
It would be it would be an increase for the townships as well.
and I mean, there are townships that are doing well, but there are townships that are not doing well.
Correct.
So, I mean, that has significant impact across, either way,
And that's another
And
thing
that's
to
a-
keep in mind.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go after a
Right.
law enforcement sheriff office, whatever millage, and just, renew, think about the townships that maybe we're hoping for the recommendation of increasing.
exactly. I mean, heavily affects everybody and,
Yep.
and it's, and I still understand the whole deal with, we removed the indefinite word. How does that actually
That was my question.
affect or apply to to anything, if we're still in the same boat with, you know, keeping the status quo with the county. It just doesn't seem like there was a win there.
It forced you to have this conversation.
Gotcha.
Nobody was ready to go after a reset 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
And rather than wait 42 more years like had been done, it forced the county's hand to have this conversation today, or I can guarantee you probably wouldn't have been having
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So that's why we removed the indefinite.
But
Is
I'm-
it forced the
Right.
conversation that needed to happen for over 40 years.
I mean, granted, property taxes have been rising forever. Recently have been rising a lot. You know, but with Headley, you know, townships are operating at 2/3, a half to 2/3 of what they could be or should be, I guess.
That,
Yeah, it depends on the
Um,
township.
yeah.
Some
So
are
that-
half, some are
Mhm.
less.
And that,
Yeah,
and,
we all have
and
different
with,
rollback
you know,
rates.
you've got inflation, everything else. And when you got revenue, you know, keep, you know, declining, that's a tough one as well. So not that Benton Township is in it, you know, but it's a concern for all the townships.
If we go out for a reset next year and it fails, we're done with we could potentially be done with that operating millage, correct? And then our whole general fund is gone.
Right. Well, but
Yeah.
there's always a chance for anything.
Lots
right?
of things.
But I
Right.
guess you
But
got,
that's the other.
No, I
side.
know,
We
I know,
go and say we want
I
to
mean, it's the
reset
same-
and it
Well, I think
fails.
it's the same idea that.
Ross
We're out of road patrol anyways, and
Rosa.
so is
Ross
everybody
Common
else.
did that. Ross Common went out to reset their general
That
operating
blows
last
my
year
mind.
and it failed the whole thing.
Blows my mind.
They cut every department except mandated departments.
So essentially, I mean,
Yeah.
the county's in the same boat as the county and townships are in the same boat with Sheriff Rosa and that
Mhm.
way of looking at things and,
Correct.
you know,
That leads me, unless there's a viable third option that we're not thinking about, which I don't think there is.
I'm
yeah.
not sure there's.
Right?
He's
I mean,
digging
yeah, I'm not,
there. It's
I'm,
like,
I'm not
please
trying to
let
be
there
like,
be
I'm
a
saying
third
that to kind of say there's not really. I
yeah,
think
there's not
we're really kind of down to,
one or the other.
and I just go back to what has the greatest chance of success.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
And it's a, you know, it's funny. I'm sitting here thinking, what a lousy decision. We're just the recommending body.
Well,
Yeah.
I have,
Right.
But that's pretty much our job. Like, what has the
I-
greatest
What do we
success
think
rate?
is-
I agree with you. I just don't.
one person who I think has another creative way to look at
Let's
it.
do that.
Corey, you and I had talked about another creative way at one
I
point.
just don't want to feel like we're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
And that's kind of how, I don't know. Either way, it's tough.
Corey Ellis, 911 Director, Benzie County. I got your third option. So part of, as I listen to all this, I've been to the majority of these, right? Taking all of this in. So I think there's all the obvious things that were already stated. I'm not going to restate them, but I think part of this complexity is too many things at once. Too many things are trying to happen in the same motion, and things are getting lost in that transition. Things are being assumed in that as well. And what I mean by that is, if we set out a public safety millage, well, now we're going to, or whatever we call it, now we're going to have this money freed up in the general fund. We're going to appropriate that or earmark that to dispatch. That's going to help them out. And we're going to do all of these other things as well. Well, let's say that doesn't happen. And, you know, I'm going to piggyback off of the sheriff's concerns. There's two other counties also that failed in, Ingham and Isabella. No more road patrol. Bye-bye. I don't think that's at all what the residents wanted, but maybe they didn't understand that that's what was going to happen. So there's issues with that as well. So my thought that I talked with Katie was, what if we take this same concept and we, for the proverbial great cliche saying, kick the can down the road a couple of years for this big of a change? And right now we fix just what's broken. Okay, well, what's broken? Dispatch. Dispatch is broken. The extra services that we've all agreed are extra are broken. Okay, well, let's fix dispatch and let's try to renew the general operating, see where that lands, then try to do something bigger. to expand on services. Or we suggest these micro millages for the extra services. If they pass, okay, then when we have this bigger conversation to have a bigger general operating, we zero those out, bring those into general fund, that sort of idea. So to me, that's the third option is you fix what's broke right now. No loss in service. What's broken could potentially be fixed. And the reason I say that, and of course I'm biased because I'm from dispatch, right? That's what I'm advocating for. In general, throughout the state, 911 is supported across the board. In absolute no level of disrespect. Law enforcement is not. And the public's making that clear. But that's also not the right direction. That's not the right answer. So those are my thoughts. And I think one of the other things I wanted to clarify too was when we talk about if, let's say, the public safety millage pass and the general fund can support dispatch, that's at a minimal level. That's at a status quo level. That was not at a where we need to be in 10-year level. That was not the long term. It was the fix it for right now level. And I think that that's important to consider too, was the presentation I put together had a 10-year and it's expanded on. It's a lot more revenue that we need to put us in a good place, much like what Sheriff Rosa has done in his tenure in his time and what his plans are. It's trying to have that strategic long-term plan and figure out how to get there.
So to be clear, your kind of proposal of what it would look like dollars and cents wise would be some sort of increase to dispatch to the millage that supports that program individually. So there would be it'd be a renewal with an increase. And then potentially a renewal of the general operating at its level.
It'd be from 2024. That's renewal.
Right? Yep. And then potentially
And
a
then-
third leg to that stool would be a micro millage to support, for instance, Parks and Rec.
Right. Yeah.
So it'd be a three-pronged approach.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I mean, my
Just like
tenure here
from a-
isn't long, and I'm always very transparent about that. I'm coming up on 3 years. I don't know all the history. I know what I'm told. But one thing I consistently hear and was brought up is the community doesn't trust the government. I don't trust the government, and I've been an employee of the government my entire life. We, as a taxpayer, you want to know where your money's going, and you want proof in that. You don't want to hear someone say, "Well, that's what we're gonna do." Prove it to me. Prove it to me by I'm gonna micromanage you and tell you can spend X dollar amount on Y things, and that's it. That's all you get. So I think there's a little bit of
Do
that.
we have historical data on county renewals?
Like
And-
this county?
Yes.
Like what's supported and what's not.
Yeah, like,
I mean, we could get you.
Yeah,
the
you-
I'm
last-
just curious, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, what's the,
Is it 51-49? Is it
Yeah.
60-40?
is it strong, is it, are we strongly passing renewals? Are
It
we?
depends on the service.
Mhm.
Animal control,
Oh, no, I mean,
Even
for,
Commission on Aging, flying colors.
okay.
Jail by the seat of your pants.
How about operating?
We only did it that one time.
Just that one time?
Yeah, we just have, and
You've
now we've
watched
just been
the-
matching
the
that.
1980s,
Yeah,
that's the
you
top
don't have
one.
to renew it when you just let Headley roll it back.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, so we don't have any data. We don't have any data.
Oh,
It did.
honestly, It did.
It did.
It's,
I was surprised.
Me too.
It even passed.
Cause it's the only time it's, and
Uh-huh.
one other time.
It was
like
so weird
2000.
and new.
And that's why because of that, it's why I think that I have, thought that an increase could be the route or a potential increase. But
it's unfortunate that people like, just opining here, but I understand like having a healthy skepticism of law enforcement. But I trust him.
Yeah.
I've known Rosa for a lot of years. I may question like an institution, but I trust him. I may question the county, but I trust you, Katie. I've gotten to know you. Like I don't know how you spread that, but I think that's what it's going to take, honestly,
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
is regardless of what it
Mhm.
is. I wonder, so we're a recommending body.
Yeah.
It feels like an option we could take because ultimately the county commission is going to have to decide whether or not it's the right one. You don't have to make one recommendation. We could make 3 and rank them.
Yes, you could.
Or also make a recommendation 1 year, second year. I mean, they don't have to be at the
just-
same time either.
Right. I mean, that we have I was just thinking in my head, like the straw man that I was putting up in my head was, we could say, this is our option one,
Hmm.
this is our option two, this is our option three. All three are potentially viable to help.
Yep.
We think this one helps the most and has the greatest chance, or whatever. We can put whatever criteria we want, but here's the cons. Here's the next one. Here's the pros and here's the
It's-
cons. Because ultimately they're going to have to.
The conversations at the commission level are going to be important, and I think it's going to be important to have not necessarily public hearings, but informational meetings, like have happened in the past. For this actual topic, we had informational meetings at a town hall, right? So I think stuff like that will be huge. I think just to get, unfortunately, we don't have anybody here.
I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, I went to every township meeting. I mean, I know EMS medics did, sheriff's office employees did. I mean, we'll make the rounds.
For sure. But I don't know. I just, this is a huge conversation that we want to get right.
Right.
And I know that the county commissioners would rather have a recommendation from this group sooner than later, because the sooner it happens, the sooner we can all start educating and working on what the
Right.
solution is. But it's a darn tough one.
Sensing sheriff might want a microphone here for a minute.
Good, one more thought.
Please.
Really touched on at this meeting. We talk about, and administratively, we talk about sustainability. How can we reach that goal? Because we all know that millages, whether it's 2-year, 4-year, 6-year, whatever that is, there's a sunset on that. So even if we went gangbusters and got this, 1 millage for sheriff's office, period, everything, it's only good for so long.
Right.
So now what? Then we have to
Renew.
we have to figure out how to renew that.
Yeah.
If you up the overall millage rate, there's a little more sustainability there. But people have to trust that the dollar is going to go where they're supposed to, or where they would like them to. So those are just some thoughts that I had. Continuing the conversation about sustainability. We wouldn't be necessarily in this boat if we didn't have a low millage rate that we are struggling with. So
We'll say this, if we did go for a reset, I would love to see us get on a reset pattern.
Yeah,
And
most
not,
counties are
Mhm.
5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Like,
going
I
on.
was gonna say the longer
That
it
is
is your average.
Some of the
millage.
lowest in the state of Michigan as
We
far
are.
as,
Outside
tax
of-
burden.
I think we're second to lowest of
outside
of
of,
our comparables. in
Yeah.
Washington.
when I
and
look
that's
around at
huge.
this heat map of the state, Leelanau is slightly lower. Like if you look around at like townships in Leelanau, I see like Cleveland Township's like 17, Leland is 20, or excuse me, Cleveland's 20, Centerville's 17,
And that's all-
Sutton's Bay,
That's
20.8.
all extremely good information.
We're like 24, Homestead, 25, Benzonia,
Mhm.
Joyfield's 21.5. If you go down just south of us, down to like Maple Grove, Calvin Norman Dixon District, Maple Grove is 32. Bear Lake for Onekama is 29. Manistee is, oh my gosh, Manistee is 28. City of Manistee is 44.
And regardless of how this ends up going, that information needs to be part of our education.
Yeah. I mean, when you go down into like where my wife graduated, Davison, 46.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's
That's
where
a lot.
my in-laws from, when you get into like Montrose, right next door to where I grew up, 53.
Nobody wants to pay tax.
And I'm not suggesting that's an aspirational point. I'm just saying, like, when you look at
But-
how we're doing with like 19 or 20 or 25, we have Montrose is a rural farming community in the northwest corner of Genesee County. It's primarily agricultural, looks very much like Joyfield. And they're paying double our tax rate. So
That's wild.
trying to like figure out how to like communicate, yes, it's hard. And we are we are not comparable. That's a tough.
Can it be
amount.
done in stages too,
Yeah.
you know? Do we have to go from 20 to 40? No,
Absolutely.
absolutely not. Could we do it in stages so the end
Absolutely.
result still gets there, but yeah,
Increments,
Right.
baby
You know,
steps, if you will.
it raises this much and these two millages fall off or whatever the case may be. As time goes on. So,
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
So next year, the TNT,
So I was just gonna
TNT
ask.
levy is an absolute for next year.
Yes,
Drug
because that
enforcement.
expires this year.
That expires, this is its last levy, so
Yep.
that's going on a ballot no matter what, whether it's by itself or with another. The jail millage levies through next year, and I have very strong beliefs about not holding a special election. I think it's crazy to
Me
ask
too.
for money
Mhm.
and then pay for an election. So the jail and TNT have to be on a ballot next year.
Yeah.
Whether that's by themselves or with something. Maybe that's one of the millages that's brought into the general fund if you're looking at raising the general operating millage. Drug enforcement. That one's very small in the grand scheme. It's 0.14, I believe.
Mhm.
Maybe that's absorbed into the general fund.
Well, and it's showing like, hey,
Showing
we're
you
giving you a
good
bone.
faith.
Like, this is what, yeah, this is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
I mean, that's
6.1
one,
That's
right
a
now.
good point. That's a good faith.
And that we've
I-
thought about it, that someone's actually, we're not
Thinking
just
about the.
continually asking for more money without considering
Mhm.
different things.
So which ones fall, which ones fall off the soonest, did you?
TNT
TNT
this year,
this year.
jail
This
next
year.
year.
Jail next year.
Mm.
And then SRO
It's 27,
27, right?
So that would go on 28.
Yeah.
With the Headley reset, I mean, we can theoretically you can reset up to the original levy, right?
5.29.
But you don't have to reset up to the original
No.
levy. You can
No.
reset to whatever level you choose.
100%.
I mean, I guess there are multiple options there.
Yeah, well, and
In the sense
and
that
that's
you
kind of
could
where
look for a reset and it could be a half a mil. It
it's
could be
kind
a
of where
single
I'm
mil.
leaning, or maybe a little bit of both. Some, a little bit of everything, like, like incorporate something in, while a small or, incremental increase over a period of time, as well as a bundle deal, like a little bit of everything. It might be too much, but I mean,
Absorbing the drug enforcement, I think, is your easiest one to absorb because it's
sure.
already so small.
for sure.
Yeah. 0.097.
Mhm.
There you
Right.
go.
It's so small.
When's SRO up the year after? 2 years?
Yeah, so that one
2027.
levies through 27, so realistically it would go on a ballot in 28.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We tried to stagger them, so there's not 7 at once, like there was.
Those are two that I would love to just be like respectfully. I appreciate I was there when we
People
did
love
the
it.
SRO millage and
People love it, and
it should be a basic service.
good.
It shouldn't be an extra.
then
it's
again, it is
something that-
good for 2 more years. So
It is,
I mean,
But I mean, I would love to see it not be
I agree.
an extra millage.
I agree.
I wish that was an expectation.
I agree.
That tricky aspect though of selling the general operating, no matter what rate we choose, and that it affects all the other townships,
That's huge.
our people are gonna say,
Well,
I'm voting for 2 increases on my tax.
Not
bill."
necessarily. It just gives, and that's
Because
all
they
about the
don't know.
education.
That-
That's the
yeah.
education, and that's going to be.
But this is all new. This is brand new to
gonna be
anyone
on the
who's lived in
townships
Benzie
to
County
get
for
that.
4
Yeah,
years.
I know.
It's-
I know.
my worry with this is, I mean, again, I've got a little PTSD experience from this.
Yeah.
And
4 times?
4 times.
4 times.
4th time is the charm.
You and me both.
Mhm.
We don't have
But-
4 elections, we
No,
have
we
2.
don't. And here's the thing, at the time, when we did our first election, we really felt, and man, were we, just proven wrong, that it was a 0.48 mil increase. And we thought 0.48, we can get 0.48, and we didn't. This is where, when I think about asking for 1.2 versus asking for, because that was what we talked about, right? 1.2 mils is kind of the magical number that we had. Asking for 1.2 versus asking for 0.6 versus asking for 0.3. I'm not sure that it matters that much. I think an increase is an increase, and you're not going to magically capture
not a
new voters
magic,
by asking
yeah.
for 0.5 less.
No, I
That's
think
where I'm-
it's,
I'm
it's the
hesitant, like,
education.
I know.
of the
Cut ourselves
story.
off.
That's why
Yeah.
it's a
If
tough.
it's an increase, it's an increase. Go for what you need, not for, I don't think you're gonna get extra votes.
And then
because you
have
asked
that.
For this much less.
No.
If it's an increase, it's an
I
increase.
know.
I think
You
you
gotta-
just, you have to have a
That's right.
And have
strong,
that plan B.
you have to have a strong story. This is what
Yep.
we're doing with the money.
Yeah.
Drug enforcement, Parks and Recreation, Crystal Lake Outlet, Point Betsy, you know, those
Bell South,
things.
education.
If I were to look at these right now, and I'll put up just my rank order based on all this conversation. My first ideal solution that I would recommend to the commissioners that I think is the right solution is a general operating reset with a 1.2 increase.
Me
I think
too.
that's the simplest, the cleanest, it helps the townships.
Mhm.
It's honest, it's clear. I just also don't know that it has the best chance of passing.
I know.
Mhm.
And I feel
I-
100% the same
I
way.
feel like,
Yeah.
your second best option but maybe your best option from a chance of passing thing is what we had talked about, which I know Sheriff has reservations on, and I respect, is doing that, whatever we call public safety millage, because I think people are more likely to vote for that than they are for a general operating, just in general. My last, although it's better than nothing, would be the one that we were presented with tonight around, let's fix where we know the deficit is, try to do some sort of micro millage for a very specific thing. I don't love it, but it's better than doing nothing.
Right.
Anybody part of the Benzie Bus Authority or know much about that whole
I
deal?
mean, they doubled theirs.
How were they able to double theirs?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
They can advertise and they can,
Yeah.
they can go out and like
Please vote
campaign. We
yes.
can't campaign,
Yeah.
they campaign.
Well,
Yeah.
and I believe our county is, what did they say? 60% to 65% elderly? So those are the services the people want. They want that bus to take them places. They need that ambulance. They need,
The bus even picked up
Those-
to take them to vote, because
Yeah.
it's legal.
Yep.
No, so, but ultimately they advertise is what you're
Please.
saying.
Right.
I mean.
They educate.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what we need to do, but
harder.
I think you could yeah.
Free ride.
Because
free
educating,
ride
you're gonna have to make a push to get that information out there.
Usually the free ride to patrol.
Usually that's not a good thing.
incentive.
Yeah. Not really. Right.
You get free ride in the look.
But they doubled their millage.
They
I mean,
did.
and
They went
that's-
from
that's
0.5 to 1.
Huge. I mean, they've never lost a millage. They've been supported the whole time, which is fantastic. It's a great service, but it blows my mind that they've pulled that off.
Any more discussions?
We gotten anywhere?
I was
No.
thinking, do we think by next meeting, we can make a recommendation?
I was hoping we were gonna make one
I-
by tonight.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
would, I would like to. That's the next item on the agenda I was waiting for.
Yes.
Oh, you want a
Discussion.
recommendation now?
Do.
Okay.
I'm interested in having, like, there's Robert's rules, right? We got a discussion portion, so there's still gonna be discussion, but I'm interested at this point, at least positing something and seeing what it goes. If we're open to it.
I think that, again, sooner than later is best. I don't know what the expectation is from the county commissioners as to when I mean, have they I think I asked this question last month. Has there been discussion on, are they chomping at the bit for us to have an answer? Or they realize that what it is and giving us that time? Okay,
Yeah, that's why we started this process so soon, because we didn't want you to feel pressure.
okay. So there is a little bit, I mean, I just
So
don't want to,
realistically, the next election is probably going to be August, which means that the board has to certify to the clerk the first part of May.
Okay.
So that would be kind of your drop dead timing
Yeah.
in all of this. But May to August doesn't give a lot of time to really get out.
no, it
into the
doesn't. I mean,
public,
and that's what I mean. It's
especially with as many township and village and city
sooner than
meetings
later
going on.
means
Yeah,
more
we need 6
education.
months at a minimum.
Commissioners are gonna need time to figure this out too.
They are.
I don't think they're
They
gonna
are.
get to this in a meeting or two.
No
I
way.
think they're gonna really struggle with this. And they should. I mean, it's a big deal.
Mhm.
It's a big
It's
decision.
huge.
And I don't just want to throw this at them either, like we talked about.
I
This is our job, but here you go.
I was hoping to be able to have my, at least personally, my mind set on a recommendation that I would support. And I'm not there. I'm not there
Neither
yet.
am
I unfortunately, I'm just not there yet. But I sure wish I was.
I understand where you guys are at. I think I'm there. I think I see at least the three.
I think
And I
Kelly's
don't-
there, right? Yeah.
I see at least three viable options. And I feel comfortable rank ordering them at this point and understanding that I would want, at the end of the day, I want to be super clear with whatever options we give, what we believe the pros are and what we believe the cons are.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to tangle with that. My thing is I think I'd like to give them maximum time to tangle with it.
Agreed.
So, but I respect, this group. If we need to take some more time, we can
I
can
mean,
do
you don't
that.
have to wait another month.
No, that's what I
Yeah.
was just thinking.
And if we do wait, then what are we waiting for? Are we gonna wait for us to get a list of pros and cons? Is that what we're coming up with? Are we comfortable making the recommendation, but just not having the backing for each of them?
I'm not sure what.
Past
what the
tonight, is
answer
that our
is.
job?
No, you're right. And it's a great question. I don't, I was thinking the same thing. What is it that we're trying to, what do we need to make this happen?
So what I envision is when this body makes its recommendation, I'm going to put it on a study session of the Board of Commissioners. I'm not going to put this
Okay.
right on their regular
Mhm.
meeting for action. I think it's going to take a study session or two of talking about this. I mean, you guys have put a lot of time and energy in it. It's going to take the same for them, I think. So it's going to go into a study session at least once, if not twice, before it's going to move to a regular meeting where action is going to be taken. I would invite members of this group to attend that study session as well, to be part of that conversation, so that we can really just get into the weeds in this. And maybe at those study sessions is where we start making that list.
That makes sense. Cause I mean, they're going to come up with things that we're not going to come up with.
Absolutely.
I'm certain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I heard stuff tonight that I hadn't even thought about. So it's like,
Well, and the study sessions are more casual where we can really workshop stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole idea of the study sessions is it's workshopping. Mhm.
well, if everybody's is on board with giving it just a little bit more time, maybe we could set one more
I'm saying, you want to look at the calendar.
as much as I.
We have
hate
one
to keep-
scheduled out, or is this our last?
I
one?
This was our
This was our
one
last,
scheduled.
one, yeah.
Should know that. My calendar's a nightmare.
And we missed golf last night, which screws everything up.
I did get a text from Archibald, and he did want to thank all of you for really putting a lot of time and effort and discussion into this topic.
Thanks, Art.
Yep. Appreciate it. So we
Couple
looked
weeks, end of the month, maybe. I wouldn't mind during this time between now and our next meeting, I'm gonna have some more conversations with certain people and
Mhm.
You want to do like 2 weeks?
maybe.
Or, because if we did 2 weeks, then the next study session of the board is October 14th. So if we did 2 to 3 weeks, that gives time to put together some communication to put on the board
about
study
for-
session.
About the first week in October, like the first or second.
Like October, so the only thing with October 1, 2, and 3,
2 would.
I can't do
Yeah.
one of those three. I'm gonna be out of town.
And I can't do the next week.
How about the week
Those are my
before?
meetings.
But like
so like
25th,
I could do
25th,
I could do the 25th.
I can't do it.
5th,
25th to
cannot.
Thursday.
can't do the
What
20.
about the 23rd?
23rd
I
is
still can't.
it's golden.
I can't.
No,
Shoot,
September
you
30th.
guys,
Put all my
you
meetings.
guys are the worst.
I can do that.
Tuesdays are,
I can do that.
you can do September 30th?
Yes.
I
can't.
nope.
No.
No,
Well,
Sorry.
Jeez.
It's
All
yeah.
right, so what do you
Start school,
guys
man.
have?
do we want to go into October?
Yeah, we can,
I do.
Second week of October.
October 8th.
I
What day is that?
8th
though?
is tough. Wednesdays are tough. but
I'm
the
tentatively
9th
out
is,
of town.
Yeah,
too.
Wednesdays work for me. Mondays and Tuesdays don't.
how about Thursdays?
I'm
Depends
gone
on the
8th, 9th,
Thursday.
and
Yeah,
10th.
I could do the 9th, but you're out that week?
Tentatively, yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be before the next study session, but it would be
Yeah.
nice.
Well, we can,
16th?
I know too, the board is not opposed to calling a special study session. Like if we needed to call together a study session, the board is willing to do that. So
How about the 16th?
I think the 16th is fine for
I can
me.
do the
I'm good the
16th.
16th.
You're out?
I'm doing strategic planning in forest area schools.
My goodness.
Can you,
I can
when are
do
you,
before.
can you get plan, like, can you get your thoughts and pros and cons for each of those ideas to us
That
We could do the
for
15th.
discussion? I mean, if,
I could
Are
do,
you
I could
comfortable
do
with it?
15th. 15th.
15th?
By then anyway.
How about the 15th?
I can do the 15th.
I can probably make that work. I might have my kids in the back. Me too.
That's fine.
I can make it work.
That's enough.
The
He's
15th.
That's
Let's,
okay.
let's try that.
5:30?
Yeah, that's,
15
I
at
appreciate it, guys. I'd
5:30
really like to meet you.
Thursday.
Yes.
So what?
October 15th at
That
5:30 PM for those viewing.
The week before I was out of town.
Everybody, it's tough to get this many people together at the same.
I'm sorry, guys, my calendar's a mess.
So, well,
Yeah.
they
All
all,
of ours are a mess.
they all. are.
Hence
At
why
5:30 again?
5:30.
That's good.
5:30 on
Yeah.
October 15th. Is this room available?
And
Tell-
I know Art's listening. I don't know if anybody else is, but we're trying, guys. We're trying to get this done for you sooner than later. We're trying.
This room is available, yes.
Beautiful.
And we're all able to come.
October
Randy, you're
15th.
good?
I'll make it.
Good.
Okay.
5:30. Awesome. All right, so
Is,
What's our homework though?
well,
We each
I
want
got
to have homework to,
got a question. What's the rules or regulations requiring to increase the non-homesteaded properties
what do you
or
mean?
in an election?
What do you mean?
Well, if you don't have your homestead, if people have second homes,
that's a state
That
law
only-
though,
Yeah, it's
the
a state.
homestead
Yeah, that only
mill
applies
or
for school.
state.
oh,
Yeah, it's
that-
only.
Yeah.
That's school taxes only. Everything else is all property.
well, that shoots my idea down.
Yeah, it's not up to us.
No, I'd love to put it on the vacation homes.
So we're not making a recommendation tonight. So public comment.
Any public comment?
Everybody left.
Brody, do
They're gone.
you have any comment?
No comment?
I heard snoring earlier.
Well, I guess we're
Stepped
adjourned.
up.